able to hear the replies, and there will be no disturbance. We always got this cooperation from you, and I solicit the same this time also. Normally the onset of a new year symbolizes hope, cheer and happiness. 2021 has ushered in something more valuable post-COVID: resilience, solidarity and a sense of community. Amid the challenges of COVID, please switch off the mobile if possible. Amid the challenges of keep them on silent. Amid the challenges of COVID-19 that we still continue to face, we shall find immense comfort in the stories of hope and see value in the positive and encouraging lessons that are emerging in the post-COVID world. This period of unprecedented health crisis will also be remembered for the innumerable acts of courage, compassion, selflessness by the so-called ordinary people doing most extraordinary acts. I hope you will allow me, but our individual and collective tributes to the COVID warriors and heroes, doctors, paramedic staff, nurses, researchers, scientists, and last but not the least, from ECI point of view, all our officials on the election duty who are located in the front line right up to the polling station level and trying to kind of see the process through. With keeping all this in mind, we have kept the leitmotif and theme of National Voters Day 2021, making our voters safe, empowered, informed and vigilant. Last year, when the entire world was confronted with an unprecedented crisis in the form of COVID-19, a whole lot of election management bodies across the democracies were faced with a tough predicament of how to balance the democratic rights of citizens to choose their representatives while also preserving and protecting the health and safety of the people. Many countries hazarded to venture and took the courageous route, in spite of these circumstances, to venture and took courageous decision to go ahead with the elections, with some adjustments in the election schedules and other precautions. In the thick of this pandemic, ECI started the kind of test trials with election to 18 seats of Rajya Sabha on June 19, 2020. Admittedly, the electoral college is very limited, but that was a kind of way of starting the process. But after that, and some legislative council elections, came the challenge of Bihar. With 7.3 crore electorate of Bihar, it was indeed a watershed moment for ECI. It proved to be a kind of litmus test. We have been going under litmus tests before, but this was quite different. And I am glad to report to you that the electorate of Bihar reposed their confidence in the extensive sanitization and health safety measures put in place at polling stations. I would be failing in my duty if I don't tell you that many of our collectors, they suffered from COVID in Bihar, rejoined their duties and saw the process through. One divisional commissioner had this problem. She was still manning 2 divisions. One IG, unfortunately, he passed away due to COVID and other comorbidities. We requested his wife and his daughter to come here for National Voters Day Award, which was given on a virtual basis by Honorable President of India. I also have with me here Chandrabhushan Kumar, who was in charge of COVID, who is sitting on this side so you can see him. I would request the CEO of Bihar to just stand up and be counted. They are the people who really put in day in and day out to carry the entire process through. In fact, you will be glad to know, and you must be already aware, that voter turnout in assembly elections in Bihar 2020, 57.34%, exceeded both the previous assembly election of 2015 as well as Lok Sabha elections 2019. And I would like also to report to you that women voters turned out in very large numbers, 59.69%. Even while the ECI was grappling with the Bihar election, a core team of dedicated officers led by Shri Umesh Sinha was already working on these 5 elections for which we are in front of you today. Actually, they have a system of series of meetings with the officials of Home Ministry regarding the availability of forces, officials of Railway regarding the coaches which are required for transportation of the CPFs, Postal Department people, and any other department whose services may be required for the smooth conduct of elections. And they start their preparation very quietly months before the actual process. It culminates in the form of a formal announcement. Even otherwise, as a part of the background, besides the background meetings, Shri Umesh Sinha, Secretary General, personally visited Tamil Nadu and Puducherry in January. Shri Dharmendra Sharma, Senior DEC, visited Assam in January and February. Shri Sudeep Jain, DEC, who besides being the DEC in charge of EVMs, is also in charge of West Bengal. He visited in January and December. Full Commission visited all the 5 poll-going states and UT of Puducherry in January and February. We started with Assam, then came to West Bengal. After an interval of about 5-6 days, we went to Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Kerala. And our system is that we start with interactive interaction with the political parties and entities, because the firm belief of the Commission is that after a voter, it's the political parties and entities who actually form the bedrock of the entire electoral process. After that, we listen to the field officers. We also talk to the regulatory agencies of both Government of India as well as the state government. We culminate our meeting, official meetings, with the meeting with the Chief Secretary, DGP, senior officers of that state, and finally we end the visit with a briefing to the media, as was done in all these 5 states. I must compliment the voters whose trust in India's democratic system, resolve to articulate their electoral choice, and firm determination to participate is inspiring. They brave several odds and difficulties, personal, domestic, professional, sometimes even barriers, to come out on the election day to mark their votes at the polling station. In fact, if you recall, a whole lot of you attended the NVD this time also, as you do every year. We have prepared an entire collage around the common man of R.K. Lakshman to kind of explain and convey the ECI's ethos of how we perceive the elections. The terms of Assam is up to 31st May 2021. Number of assembly seats is 126. Please tell me if you don't catch me, I'll speak again. Term of Assam is 31st May 2021. Number of assembly seats is 126. Reserved seats, SC, 8. ST 16. Term of Tamil Nadu is 24th May 2021. Number of assembly seats 234. Reserved seats SC 44, ST 2. West Bengal term of assembly is up to 30th May 2021. Number of assembly seats is 294. SC seats are 68. ST seats are 16. Kerala, the term is up to 1st June. Number of assembly seats is 140. Reserved seats are 14 and for SC and 2 for ST. Puducherry, the term is up to 8 June. Number of assembly seats is 30. Reserved seats SC 5, ST nil. A total of 824 assembly constituencies shall be going for polls during these elections. 18.68 crore electors will cast vote at 2.7 lakh polling stations in these states and UT of Puducherry. More than 3 lakh service vote electors will be availing the facility of electronic transmitted postal ballot system, that is ETPBS. The special summary revision was held with respect to 1/1/21 as the qualifying date and the electoral roll published in January 2021 itself. Because we have reduced due to COVID, we used to have a polling station with maximum 1,500. Now we have made the qualifying thing to be 1,000. We have also ensured that all polling stations are on the ground floor. That is completely non-negotiable. So Assam, the polling stations in 2016 were 24,890. 2021, 33,530. Percentage increase in polling stations, 34.71. Tamil Nadu, we had 66,007 polling stations. Number of polling stations in 2021 are 88,936. Percentage increase is 34.73%. West Bengal, it was 77,413 in 16 and 1,01,916 now. The percentage increase is 31.65%. Sorry? 1,01,916 and the percentage increase is 31.65%. Is it okay? Kerala, we had 21,498. Now we have 40,771. The percentage increase is 89.65 because the population is so dense. The density of population is so much. Puducherry is 930. Number of polling stations now is 1559. The increase is 67.63%. Why, my friends, I am trying to mention this is that this also means that much more polling personnel, that much more security personnel, because the norms for the polling personnel and the security personnel remain the same. And although we try that, our CEOs try that the auxiliary polling stations, as we call them, are near the original polling stations so that we can kind of optimize on the utilization of manpower. You are all aware that after taking the inputs from several stakeholders, Commission had issued a set of guidelines for COVID, in the context of COVID, on 22nd August 2020. The inputs were taken from political parties as well as from our CEOs of all the states and UTs. We also mentioned in that whereas these guidelines are generally as per the NDMA guidelines and issued by Ministry of Home, but at the same time in fact, as is mentioned in the MHA guidelines also, the states can make local variations and local changes, keeping in view their own milieu. However, this is the paradigm. We keep coordinating with the Ministry of Health and keep a very close watch on the health situation in the poll-bound states. The rollout of vaccination program has further contributed to a more positive environment as compared to earlier, and probably is gradually boosting the confidence of people for coming elections. I am glad to report to you that on the recommendations of the Commission, Health Ministry has already declared all our poll officials as frontline workers for vaccination. And the Commission has taken a conscious decision that after all our frontline workers are vaccinated, then only in the headquarters it will start from the, let's say from the MTS, the helpers, and the Commission will get vaccinated in the end and not in the beginning. Elections by definition involve large gatherings of people at various stages of electoral activity, whether it is nomination or campaigning. It is of paramount importance, therefore, to mitigate the likely health impact and reduce chances of transmission among the people. Several steps have been taken to address the issues. You are aware of most of them, but I'll still report. On October 22nd October 29, as you are aware, on the recommendation of the Commission, the concept of absentee voters was introduced. Postal ballot facility had been extended as an option, I repeat, as an option, to senior citizens aged 80 years and above, persons with benchmark disability flagged in the electoral roll, and electors occupied or employed in essential services. For example, metros, all these things which the local CEO identifies in close coordination with the DEC of that area, and those notification is accordingly made. Nodal health officers are also appointed at the state district levels to ensure all related arrangements and preventive measures during the entire electoral process. A separate SOP is there for the COVID-19 patients, suspects, quarantined for their voting. That has already been issued by the Commission. Polling time has been uniformly increased. It was done in Bihar also. Again, also is being repeated by 1 hour. And the decision is taken by the local CEO in close consultation with the DEC concerned. Several processes and procedures have been made available online in order to minimize person-to-person contact and prevent congregation of large number of people. But that doesn't mean that those people cannot exercise cannot adopt offline procedure for those things. The number of persons accompanying a candidate for submission of nomination has been restricted to 2. And the number of vehicles is also restricted to 2. Candidates later on can also seek electoral certification digitally, besides filling the nomination form and affidavit online, and the printout submitted to the RO. But as I said, these rights can be accessed offline also. Security money can also be deposited on the online mode. Door-to-door campaigning has been restricted to 5 persons, including the candidate. Road shows are allowed, subject to the convoy being broken after every 5 vehicles. Ultimately, it is for the district magistrates, called collectors, called deputy commissioners, and their police counterparts, SPs, deputy commissioners, commissioners, IGs, who have to kind of finally take a view from situation to situation. But as I said, broad guidelines are there. DOs shall identify, which they have already done, the available grounds for the meetings. And DOs have been instructed, CEOs have been instructed to print a list of those grounds district-wise in the English as well as vernacular papers, so that people are aware which grounds are available in which state. To the best of my knowledge, the CEOs have started doing it in their respective states. Otherwise, now that the announcement is made today, they'll do it in the next 2-3 days. Adequate CAPF deployment shall be ensured during elections. All critical vulnerable polling stations have already been identified, and adequate numbers of CAPF will be deployed in such critical booths. Advanced teams are already deployed in these states and UTs. One day a news item came that some advanced teams have been sent only to West Bengal. Then we released a press release that they were in fact sent on the very day to all the 5 states. So it was not that the teams were sent only to West Bengal, so I don't know where it came from. In any case, you are aware that to ensure optimum use of CAPF, because wherever we go, we are told that the state administration, and this is uniformly said by the local representatives, that the state police, they do their own bit and they do not let the CPF go to the critical stations, etc. So we issued a circular dated 8th February 2021, which is already in the knowledge of all of you practically, but I'll Shefali request her that it should also be separately loaded on the website so that everybody can see it. That circular states that now there will be a committee comprising of CEO, State Police Nodal Officer and State CAPF Coordinator to jointly work out the election security plan and ensure randomization of the security personnel. Force deployment plans of states and UTs shall be vetted by special general and police observers. For district deployment plans, both general and police observers will approve it. This will help in optimal and far more impartial use of CPFs in area domination, especially in the vulnerable areas and communities. Besides this, all other aspects of security management, including webcasting, CCTV footage, coverage, and videography, will be put in place. On 25th February 2021, Commission has directed by issuing a notification that arrangements for webcasting shall be done in all the critical polling stations and all polling stations in vulnerable areas, at least in the 50% such cases, including auxiliary polling stations, whichever is higher. I mean, if somebody can do 75, we should be too happy. If somebody can do 100, some of the CEOs did it, but 50% is the benchmark. It cannot be below 50%. You are also aware that ECI has had for some time a time-tested and robust system in deploying central observers over and above the district observers, special central observers for, depending on the sensitivity of a particular state, for law and order and for expenditure, etc., etc. In fact, in Bihar elections and in earlier elections also, in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, all these places, we had deployed such observers, and some of them did exceptionally well. In fact, 1 or 2 of them, most of them are retired members of CBDT or CBIC. Also, some of them have been in investigation in their own postings for a very long time. And such observers, this time I would like to take out the name of observers. Assam, General Observer, Shri S. Srinivasan, Odisha, belongs to Odisha, Cadre Odisha, retired IAS from 80 batch. West Bengal, Shri Ajay Naik, 84 batch, retired. He used to be our CEO in Bihar and one of the best CEOs the Commission ever had. Not that we have dearth of them, but he was one of the best of the best. Kerala, we are still finding out a person. We just have 2-3 options, but you have to take their consent. In a day